Hi friends, welcome to Gallant IAS. In this video, we will discuss the art of writing Indian polity answer based on a previous year question. And the question is the High Court's power to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court of India? I repeat the question, is the High Court's power to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court of India? And the question asked was for 150 words. And for a 150 word question, UPSC provides you with 2 pages and you have to write answer within these pages provided. Okay, so since this is regarding the question on a writ, in the intro part, let's begin with writing what is a writ. Okay, so what is actually a writ? Writ is a directive issued by the Supreme Court and High Court to carry out their instructions for the enforcement of fundamental rights or any other rights of an affected person. So based on the question, you make an intro. So definition of writs on the intro part of your question. And the question is the High Court's power to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court of India? So you must know what all are the different types of writs. So make a separate subheading, types of writs. And then you write here writs. Make a diagrammatic representation. There are 5 kinds of writs. What is habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, as well as quo warranto. Okay, so make a diagrammatic representation so that you can use save words as well, and also paper looks attractive. And write here habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, as well as quo warranto. And just please define what is a habeas corpus. Please define what is a mandamus. Please define prohibition. Define certiorari. Also define what is quo warranto. So what is habeas corpus? Order issued by the court to a person who was detained another person to produce the body of the latter before it. And again define mandamus. Command issued by the court to a public official asking him to perform his official duties. Likewise, separate his subheading, diagrammatic representation, and mentioning all those things with a small definition. This must also be there in your body part. Okay, again come back to the question, is the High Court's power to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court of India? So you must know what is writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court as well as what is the writ jurisdiction of High Court. So make a separate subheading, writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court. So write few points regarding the writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Make your answers in bullet points or give numbers 1, 2, 3 as well. Okay, as I said always, please don't write your bullet points in this page, this space provided by, because this is for the evaluator and not for us. We must write everything within this area only, or else you may get negative marks for your answer. So please keep in mind that things. Okay, so point number 1, Article 32. We know that Article 32 says about the writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court of India. That is, Supreme Court has the powers to issue writ for violation of fundamental rights. Regarding fundamental rights violation, Supreme Court has the power to issue writ, and that comes under Article 32. That is, right to constitutional remedies. So whenever possible, try to mention the constitutional provisions or articles. Okay, then it have territorial jurisdiction over the entire country. Write that point also. Then you come to the writ jurisdiction of High Court. Again mention the constitutional provision, that is Article 226. Article 226, High Courts can issue on fundamental rights, also for any other purposes. See, under Article 32, Supreme Court can issue a writ for enforcing fundamental rights only. But in case of Article 226, High Court can issue for writs for enforcement of fundamental rights as well as other legal purposes also. And territorial jurisdiction within the state, or if something happen within the territory of their concerned state, High Court can invoke. That provision you please write. And now let's come back to the question. Is the power of High Courts to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court? So there represents a power difference between the jurisdiction of High Court as well as Supreme Court. So please write it again, subheading, power difference between High Court and Supreme Court in case of writ jurisdiction. Make a separate subheading. So try to give more subheadings. So we have written intro, then we have written types of writs, writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court, again another heading, now another heading. So try to give more subheadings. Okay. Again write the points in bullet points. The power of Supreme Court is not absolute. Why? Because High Court also have concurrent powers to issue writs. So there is a power difference. Again, High Court can refuse to enforce a writ, but Supreme Court cannot. Write all these points. Why Supreme Court cannot refuse to entertain a writ? Why? Because Article 32 itself is a fundamental right. But Article 226 is not a fundamental right. So High Court can refuse to enforce writ, but Supreme Court cannot. So some limitations are put upon the Supreme Court. Why? Because Supreme Court cannot refuse, but High Court can refuse. That you must write. And similarly, High Court has some discretionary powers for issuing writ. The discretionary powers is not with the High Court. Sorry, the discretionary powers is not with the Supreme Court. That provisions you write. And we can say that regarding subject matter, okay, High Court has wider jurisdiction. Why? High Court can issue writ for fundamental rights as well as for other purposes. That is, for other legal rights also, High Court can issue writ. But see, regarding Supreme Court can issue it only for fundamental rights. So regarding subject matter, High Court has more powers in case of writ jurisdiction. But see, in case of territorial areas, Supreme Court has more powers. Why? It covers entire country. High Court covers only that concerned state or that a small jurisdiction. So in territorial jurisdiction, Supreme Court has wider powers. But regarding subject matters, High Court has more powers. So this power difference you must give or you must write under this subheading. And you can say Supreme Court cannot refuse. That's why Supreme Court is called the guarantor of fundamental rights. In the likewise, you can give some points. Okay. And the core highlight should be, see, the question is the High Court's power to issue writs wider than that of Supreme Court of India? So you must highlight a certain point. You must highlight this point. That is, regarding subject matter, High Court has wider jurisdiction. But regarding territorial extent, Supreme Court has wider jurisdiction. That point you must highlight, and then you come up with a dynamic or attractive conclusion. You can say that without provisions of enforcement of fundamental rights, the constitution will be a void. Okay, that is why Dr. B.R. Ambedkar called Article 32 as the fundamental of all fundamental rights. So sometimes, if possible, quote the words of our national leaders like Ambedkar, Nehru or Gandhi, or some debates happened in the Constituent Assembly. You can quote all those words as well. Ambedkar called Article 32 as the fundamental of all fundamental rights. Okay, so these things you can mention in your answer. Fine. And if any Supreme Court verdicts are there regarding this question, you can mention that. Or any amendments made to the jurisdiction, like you can mention that. Likewise, you quote all these things in your answer. So we made an intro, made a body part with various subheadings. We mentioned the constitutional provisions, Article 32 mentioned, Article 226 we mentioned, and we made analyze a power comparison between the writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court and High Court, and we end up with a dynamic conclusion quoting the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So the answer looks much more attractive. So if you present your answer in this manner, we have made a diagrammatic representation also. So the answer looks much more attractive, so that there's a possibility to get extra mark also. See, a half mark can make a huge difference. If you get a half mark extra for presenting in this manner, it makes a huge difference. Why means, in GS2, there are 20 questions. If in one question you get half mark, in 20 questions you may get 10 marks extra. It's a huge difference. Similarly, in GS1, if you get that extra 10 mark, in GS3 you may get extra 10 mark, and in GS4 you may get that extra 10 mark. Similarly, your optional papers 1 and 2 you may get extra 10 mark each. So for every question, if you get just a half mark extra, this makes a huge difference in your rank. So give importance to all these elements, all these minor elements. Please give importance to that. Okay, and that's it for the day. Thank you then. Bye.